A fast-moving flood emergency has struck Nan Province in northern Thailand after intense monsoon rainfall sent water rushing out of the mountains and into communities below. Pua District has suffered the most serious impact. Government reports say approximately 8,000 households and more than 16,000 people have been affected there. Flooding has entered homes, covered roads, isolated communities, and forced emergency teams to carry out rescues in water filled with mud and debris. Pua is not the only district affected. Flooding and heavy rainfall have also been reported in Santi Suk and Mae Charim, while authorities are closely watching communities farther downstream as the water continues moving through the Nan River system. Government information released during the first day of the emergency reported no confirmed deaths. That is encouraging, but it should not be interpreted as a sign that the danger has passed. Rescue teams were still checking flooded neighborhoods, moving vulnerable residents, and assessing areas where damaged roads had limited access. This disaster developed quickly. Water rose from mountain streams during the early morning hours, leaving some families with only enough time to move upstairs, reach higher ground, or wait for rescuers. The most important fact at this stage is that the emergency remains active. Rain is still possible, hillsides are saturated, and floodwater moving downstream could threaten communities that were not among the first areas inundated. The flooding followed a period of heavy to very heavy monsoon rain across northern Thailand. Government monitoring indicated that more than 200 millimeters of rain had fallen in several parts of Nan Province, particularly around Pua, Santi Suk, and Mae Charim. Additional monitoring in the mountainous Doi Phu Ka area recorded more than 110 millimeters over a shorter period. Rainfall totals can vary sharply across Nan because the province is dominated by steep mountains, narrow valleys, and forested headwater catchments. When moisture-rich monsoon air reaches this terrain, it is forced upward. The air cools, water vapor condenses, and rainfall can become more concentrated along mountain slopes. If the rain continues over the same watershed, streams that normally carry limited amounts of water can rise with extraordinary speed. The ground was also important. Soil that has already absorbed repeated monsoon rainfall has less capacity to accept additional water. New rain then travels across the surface, carrying soil, branches, rocks, and other debris downhill. That runoff enters small creeks first. Those creeks combine into larger waterways, creating a rapid surge that can reach communities below before the weather appears equally severe there. This helps explain why some homes were flooded so quickly. The danger did not come only from rain falling directly over the neighborhood. It also came from water collected across a much larger mountain area and concentrated into narrow downstream channels. Flash flooding is different from the slow rise of a major river. It can transform a road or shallow stream within minutes, giving people very little time to calculate where the water will go next. Pua District sits beneath mountain watersheds that drain toward agricultural valleys and populated communities. When those waterways overflowed, floodwater spread through residential areas, commercial streets, farmland, and local transportation routes. An official government update issued on the morning of August 19 reported that Pua was the hardest hit district. Approximately 8,000 households and more than 16,000 residents were affected. Different operational updates listed changing numbers of sub-districts and villages as assessment teams received new information, demonstrating how rapidly the situation was developing. In some neighborhoods, water entered the ground floors of homes and businesses. Residents moved electrical appliances, documents, motorcycles, animals, and other belongings to higher levels whenever time allowed. Others had to prioritize immediate evacuation. Flood depth was not the only hazard. Muddy currents carried branches, trash, pieces of damaged structures, and agricultural material through streets and around buildings. This debris can strike people, block doorways, damage walls, and make rescue boats difficult to control. Water flowing through a building can also undermine foundations. Even after the visible flood level falls, cracked walls, unstable floors, damaged wiring, and contaminated mud can make a property unsafe to enter. The images from Pua are dramatic, but they should be interpreted carefully. They document a severe local disaster in northern Nan Province. They do not mean that every part of Thailand is flooded. Accurate geography matters during emergency reporting. It directs attention and assistance toward the communities experiencing the greatest danger while avoiding unnecessary panic in areas that have not suffered the same conditions. Flooding has severely disrupted transportation across Nan. Government road updates reported multiple routes becoming impassable, including a section of Highway 1169, where water reached approximately 120 centimeters, or nearly 4 feet. At that depth, ordinary passenger vehicles cannot travel safely. The current may be strong enough to move a car, and drivers cannot see whether pavement beneath the water has collapsed or been washed away. Other routes were blocked by flooding, mud, fallen trees, or damage near bridges. Travel toward mountain communities became especially difficult because many roads pass through narrow valleys and steep slopes with few practical alternatives. Public transportation was also adjusted. Bus services that would normally continue farther north were forced to terminate in Pua because vehicles could not safely pass through the affected sections. Passengers were advised to monitor official announcements and avoid attempting to continue independently through closed areas. In rural Nan, a blocked road has consequences beyond delayed traffic. It can prevent ambulances from reaching patients, stop food and clean water deliveries, and delay engineers or utility workers attempting to inspect damaged systems. Authorities must examine more than the visible surface before reopening a route. Floodwater can remove soil beneath asphalt while leaving the upper layer temporarily in place. A road that appears intact may collapse under the weight of a truck. Bridge foundations also require inspection after being struck by fast-moving water and heavy debris. Until engineers confirm that a structure is stable, barricades should be treated as safety boundaries, not inconveniences to be driven around. หน้าร้านธีรดาค้าไม้ไม่สามารถสัญจรผ่านได้นะคะ Thailand's Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation coordinated the response with provincial authorities, military units, police, local administrative organizations, rescue foundations, and volunteers. Boats and jet skis were deployed to reach residents trapped in flooded homes. Later operational reports said approximately 70 to 80 military personnel were working in the Ban Rong area, while 8 jet skis and additional flat-bottomed boats were being sent to support rescue operations. A Ka-32 helicopter was placed on standby in case road access failed or people needed to be reached from the air. Heavy equipment, mobile kitchens, drinking water production vehicles, and emergency supplies were also prepared for deployment. The priority was to move older residents, children, people with disabilities, bedridden patients, and anyone living near fast-moving water. These groups may require additional time, medical assistance, or specialized transportation during an evacuation. Authorities initially opened at least 7 evacuation locations. Later reports listed additional facilities as the operation expanded, including government buildings, schools, local administrative offices, temples, and community halls. These centers were intended to provide temporary shelter, food, drinking water, basic medical checks, and a safe location while residents waited for conditions to improve. The response appears to have prevented loss of life during the initial phase, but evacuations remain dangerous. Boats must operate around hidden fences, vehicles, power lines, and floating debris. Rescuers also face strong currents that can change direction when water encounters buildings or narrow roads. For that reason, people should not attempt an independent rescue without proper equipment. A second victim creates an additional emergency for teams already operating under difficult conditions. The next phase of the emergency depends on rainfall and how the flood wave moves through the Nan River system. Authorities are maintaining command centers, monitoring water levels, operating shelters, inspecting roads, and preparing additional rescue equipment. The Department of Mineral Resources placed Nan and 14 other provinces under a landslide and flash flood watch through August 21. Communities in Ta Wang Pha, Wang Nan, Wang Sa, and other low-lying locations should continue following local alerts even if conditions in Pua begin to improve. Residents returning to flooded homes should switch off electricity before touching damaged appliances. Downed wires must always be treated as energized. Floodwater may contain sewage, fuel, chemicals, sharp metal, or animal waste and should not be considered safe for drinking or washing. Drivers should never enter a flooded road when the depth or current cannot be judged. Water can conceal a missing section of pavement or move a vehicle before its occupants have time to escape. People near saturated slopes should watch for new cracks, leaning trees, falling stones, suddenly muddy streams, or unusual rumbling sounds. These can be signs that the ground is beginning to move. The disaster in Nan demonstrates how quickly concentrated monsoon rainfall can become a community-wide emergency when it falls over steep terrain. It also shows why verified warnings, early evacuation, and safe road closures are essential. Thank you for watching Extreme Weather US. If you value calm, carefully verified disaster coverage that explains both what happened and why it matters, you are warmly invited to subscribe and follow our next update.